What's up, everyone? Thank you for checking out this episode of Raised Geek. This week, you know what? We discuss episode 4 of HBO's The Last of Us. Please hold my hand. So let's get into it. I'm Chris, and as always, I'm here with my buddy Don. How we doing, man?
Chris, what is up today, my friend? Everything is all right. Kind of. Everything's okay. I don't know. Quick story I have before I ask you how you are. We don't talk about our jobs very much, but I work for a snack food chip company. I'm not going to name them so I don't get like fired or anything.
Unless they're going to sponsor.
Like over the past year, I used to drive a box truck for many years, and then like about a year ago, I moved up into a position, more of a management style position. But still, every now and then, when a guy doesn't show up or a guy is sick or whatever, I still have to like go cover routes. So I was doing that today, and all of our chip trucks are like non-operational, whatever. So they had to rent a truck, like a Penske. You know, Penske, it's like a competitor of U-Haul.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever driven one of those trucks, but they're like, whatever. They're just a standard box truck, but they're different than a chip truck. A chip truck is designed in the back with a larger bumper. So when you're pushing your dolly down to get off the back, when you're loading your stuff, like it kind of flows down easy, and it's got a nice big step for you to go up and down. That's what they're designed to do.
Yeah.
Well, Penske trucks and U-Haul trucks are not that same way. They're different. Has a much narrower bumper, but I had to use this truck because that was my only option.
Right.
So today I misjudged my step onto that back bumper, and this is a high off the back of a truck. So I thought I was stepping down onto the bumper. Really, I missed the entire thing. So my ankle went all the way down to the ground with all of my weight on it from like the back of this truck. Yeah. And I thought I was dead.
Yeah, I bet.
No, it really hurt like a bitch. And right now I have like probably I'm not going to say severely, but a pretty hurt ankle. It sucks. I don't know if you know, or people out there listening know what a sprained ankle feels like, but it feels like your leg's going to fall off. And it's a little better now. I put some ice on it and wrapped it up, but man, yeah, that's how it's going for me. My shit's fucked up. So I'm hurt. I got injured, but I'm maintaining. I'm gonna get through it. Here we're here to do this. This is fun, but I'm doing it through pain. So everyone knows out there, I'm suffering for this show. I'm suffering for The Last of Us and this podcast. But yeah, besides that, everything's good. No, I'm happy I didn't like fall like completely on the ground and really mess my shit up. But like all your weight down on your ankle from like, you know, up high off the back of a truck it was rough. Like it sent a shockwave up my body that I still like remember. And I was just like, oh my God, did I break my leg? But
yeah. That's why when you were telling that story and you were leading to that, I was like, oh my God, he fell out of this truck. Oh my God. And I kept waiting for you to like pull up a cast. And this is what happened. And you're going to have...
I'm deformed.
I was like, oh my God, take off that hat and you're going to like have a helmet on. I have to wear this now forever.
Like I'm really doing this show from the hospital, guys. I'm really messed up.
Green screen. And you make it, shake it away. And yeah, it's just like, this is robot android version of Don. So that sucks, man. I'm glad you're okay for all intents and purposes. You survived the Penske.
I did.
Truck. I'm glad I don't have to go get revenge on Penske now.
The Penske file.
Penske files. Give me the Penske files. So, but as you said, we are here to talk about The Last of Us. Episode 4 was this week. We do have, because we'll drop this before, episode 5 is dropping a day early or 2 days early, Friday. So if you hadn't heard yet, which you probably already did, if you're listening to this, means you care about that, which means you're on social media, which means you already know. But if you don't, you followed all that, right?
I did. I followed you. I got your logic.
But if you don't, Last of Us episode 5 is dropping on HBO Max Friday night. I think same time, 8 o'clock, to try to avoid the Super Bowl, which is good. Now I can watch.
Right. We brought that up here, I think a week or two ago. Mm-hmm. Already dreading the fact that Super Bowl Sunday was going to be like an episode we'd either have to wait on or decide between. Am I going to take a break during football and watch it, or wait till Monday? And like neither option sounded good. So thank you, HBO, and all the powers that be for making this decision, making our decision easier. And even a hit show, we've been through the ratings. We talk about it. The ratings keep rising and rising. But even a new hit show cannot withstand the power of the big game, the Super Bowl. And even so, they know that. They're like, we're going to get out of their way. Let's get out of the NFL's way, put our show out a little early. So we're going to definitely benefit from that. That's cool. We're recording this on Wednesday. We got 2 days. It's going to be great. Or is this Tuesday?
It's Tuesday.
Okay. I'm
close enough to
I'm all mixed up. Yeah, it's almost Wednesday.
But yes, PSA, public service announcement for you all out there. Friday, Last of Us Episode 5. Don't let the internet spoil it for you. Last of Us Episode 4, titled Please Hold My Hand. Quick synopsis. After abandoning their truck in Kansas City, Joel and Ellie attempt to escape without drawing the attention of a vindictive rebel leader. So now this episode definitely expanded the world a lot more and diversed from the show diversed from the game, because in the game you stopped in Pittsburgh. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Right. Spoilers.
Yeah.
But you stopped in Pittsburgh and you just kind of had some hunters and you had some action and you had some stuff, but you didn't know who they were. You didn't really dive into them. There was no lady, which Kathleen. There was no Kathleen. There was no kind of mercenary team. They were just hunters that just kind of existed in the town, and you pushed through. So we're obviously getting a lot more. We're there a lot longer because we're at least there for one more episode, and we were getting this backstory of Kathleen looking for someone named Henry, and really kind of having a full-on existential crisis there of, I'm in power, this is what I'm going to do. So it was definitely a transition episode.
Sure.
We followed Joel and Ellie a little bit more in this one than we did last week with Frank and Bill, but it was a lot of setup for the chaos that's going to be next week.
Yeah, you kind of called it there. I don't know. I think of this episode 4 as it's getting back to more of following the game more closely than what episode 3 did. It's kind of a shift, like you said, back to Ellie and Joel on their road trip, but it did add its things to make the story a little deeper, as you just kind of pointed out. Because in a video game, you don't have to do that, but if you're making it into a show, I mean, you can't just have 5 minutes of them, choking out guys and sneaking around and whatever. And that's kind of what the game was. So yeah, I mean, it's like the game, but it's not like the game at the same time, which is what I dig when they do with this show. I like being able to recognize what's going on by being someone who played the game and enjoyed it, but also being surprised and not knowing exactly what's coming at the same time. So it's a nice balance. You know what I mean? That's kind of what this entire episode was for me. I really liked it. Again, I mean, surprise, surprise. I've liked every second of this show so far, so I'm not surprised. No one should be surprised by that. But yeah, man, it was fun kind of digging into Joel and Ellie's relationship a little further. Like we've seen now, it's just them two. They don't have anyone else to lean on. They're not going to see Bill. They're not going to find. I mean, they are going to find Tommy, but that's who knows how far down the road for them. They don't know. Right. Tess isn't around to be that third person. Now this is Ellie and Joel kind of building their relationship and getting to know each other, because there's no one else around. It's just them two. So I mean, what else are they going to do? You gotta communicate, and they're kind of feeling each other out, seeing how they can speak to each other and if they can trust each other and what's going to happen. So I'm totally digging it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I really enjoyed seeing more of this world. They went on this road trip showing Ellie kind of the chaos that's happened over the 20 years, having Joel explain stuff to her, really having her experience how big the world really is. She grew up kind of taught by the government kind of just in the system, in the little QZ, just kind of hanging out, and knowing this small portion. So now she's on this huge road trip, seeing the down planes, seeing the bridges, seeing the cars, the tanks, and having Joel being able to be like, this is what it was like to be on a plane. This is what it was like to be here. This is what happened. This is when we saw it, and getting some of those explanations. I know last week they explained a little bit where he talked about where, how the virus spread and talked about this. And then now just to be able to drive kind of across the country from Boston to Missouri and see all of that just destruction. What was amazing to me was that whole ride from Boston all the way to Missouri, no other overpass or tunnel was blocked.
Right.
I was like, I feel like they would have came across that pretty quick.
Some kind of wreckage somewhere else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they said the military drove through to clear the roads. So, I mean, I guess that's something, but you still just would imagine that after 20 years, there would have been.
Just not open roads all the way from Boston to Kansas City.
Yeah, they had no problem.
Until you get right on the precipice of Kansas City, then you're messed up.
You're like, oh shit. Yeah,
we're nitpicking.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can also nitpick about the fact that why do those cars still have gas after 20 years? Gas is good for like 3. 20 years and he's still siphoning gas out of cars. It's like, I think you guys would be out of gas by now. But
well, they made a point in the game too. I mean, we try not to spoil the game, but whatever. The Bill character said sometime in there, he's like, you'd be shocked at how many cars still have gas out here. So they like had to address it, like, because how else are you going to get the car from point A to point B? But yeah, I mean,
and Joel did say in here that at this point the gas is almost just water, so like you need more of it to get there. So I mean, he did make a point to say that, but I mean, after 20 years, I think it is water. But I'm not a gasologist, so I don't know.
The only way we can prove this is if now at our, this age, we got to get some gas in a gas can. Don't check it till we're 60 years old and see if it still works. We're playing the long game here.
The long game. So make sure you like and subscribe to the channel so you can be here in 20 years and find out what happens to gas after 20 years. I feel like we could just watch Mythbusters and they could probably tell us.
Okay, well,
I feel like that answer already exists, but if you want to run a long experiment, chances
Come
are
on with us, guys. This is our 20-year plan.
20-year plan. We're going to be here for the long haul. I like that a lot. But as you said, I really liked the idea of just opening up Ellie's personality a little bit more, and then like I said, Joel starting to let his guard down. Of Ellie trying to break him, trying to tell him lame jokes and trying to get him to laugh and trying to get him to respond in some way and not be a grump. So I think it was a lot of fun to watch her try that and eventually succeed at the end of the episode.
Well, what's good about it to me is it kind of shows and they did this in the game too. The joke book, for those who don't know, is something from the game too that happens and really is just like a little side thing that doesn't have anything to do with the game. Like there's not a mission involved with the pun book. There's not a greater purpose to it. It's just something every now and then when you play as Joel, you're walking around with Ellie, like she'll just whip out this pun book and just tell some stupid joke and they just have some funny dialogue and then they carry on with their day. It's like awesome in that way. And the fact that they adapted it for this show and like brought it over, I think is really cool. It kind of just shows even in this crazy weird world, there's still like some humanity left in people and not everything is always so serious. Some things can be like, yeah, Ellie's goofy and a kid and she's 14 years old and this is her personality. Even in this world that's gone to shit, she still is like gonna act that way and try to make this guy laugh or crack or whatever. So I like that about the game, and I like that they're doing it in the show. It definitely adds some depth to those characters and makes them feel a little more human and a little more real. Unlike, Walking Dead, where everybody's walking around and sad and dying and, nothing good is happening. Like, just because the world's going to shit doesn't mean that every single second of every day has to be, a scowl, frown, cry, scream.
Hey, Walking Dead had moments of people having fun.
Maybe
far between.
Yeah.
and the misery definitely overshadowed it. But
Yeah.
they had
Not to
moments.
compare the two, not to compare the two, but you know
No,
what I
but
mean.
you're right, and I mean, I think that's a more realistic approach to an extent. I mean, The Walking Dead is about misery. Last of Us is about hope. So I mean, there's you got to have those things, but you also just imagine people are people. I mean, there's all kinds of scenarios in which humor is how we adapt to things. And that's just kind of how it's going to work. You're still going to have those instances. You're still going to have those people that want to keep art alive. You're still going to have some of those things out there because it's still people. It's still who we are as a species. So I like seeing that, like you said, not just being a downer and dark, and it's a dark,
No.
depressing show, but to have those moments and the way that they balance them out is really nice.
Yeah, like if a zombie apocalypse happened in real life and somehow you and I got met up somewhere and we're trying to survive, I guarantee you we'd still be cracking stupid ass jokes like we do in regular life.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how you go on. You I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it was a nice addition. I'm glad they included it in the show.
It's one of those moments, and I mean, they even went back and did the porno mag in Bill's
Mhm.
truck. I know there was a lot of complaint about not getting the Bill and Ellie interactions that you had in the game last episode, since they never put them two together. But they still went back and got that one while they were driving. I know Bill
Yeah.
wasn't in the car, but was he in the car in the game?
Bill?
Yeah,
No, that's after they
that was
left
still
Village
after.
Town.
Okay,
Yeah.
he said it's been a minute.
They added it a little late, but it was fun addition, a nice little Easter egg bonus for fans of the game. So yeah, that was cool too.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So then we hit KC, and we started to hear. We had this moment in the truck where they were driving, and Joel basically called Ellie cargo, which you could tell really kind of hurt her feelings. She was hoping to be more at this point, and not really. But when shit hit the fan, once they hit KC, she listened to him like she was supposed to.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that was crazy. You just know it is, but you see someone limping in the street, and they're like, "You gonna help him?" And Joel's like, "No, buckle up." And you're just like, "Shit." And you see people throwing bricks from rooftops and just chaos. And that car truck crash into the laundromat just looked so cool. But then we got this action sequence that was almost right out of the game, man.
Yeah.
Hiding behind that truck, taking little pop shots, telling Ellie to go open a door on the other side of the wall because you're small.
Yeah. It's what us as fans of the game were hoping for. We like being surprised with the new stuff, but we also want to see the stuff we played.
Well,
that we love this game.
As far as I'm aware, this scene wasn't really like a shot for shot thing, right?
No, there were a few tweaks and changes, but the general idea remained the same.
So I mean, it's still different, but it still works because they got the vibe right. They got the appearance of shit.
For sure.
Like the way that the set designs is amazing. To try to match it for the game. And then, like I said, it's even the way that they were doing kind of the combat, the action scene. It was very Last of Us centric, of just like, I'm going to take a couple shots where I can. I'm going to hide, melee. It felt really cool. And then it added to the story of just following Ellie, listening to this chaos, and then realizing that she had a gun on her.
Well, yeah, and then she ends up using that gun, which kind of was the big piece of this whole scene, is her having to use the gun she's been concealing.
She was playing with earlier in the episode where she was pew pew pewing.
Yeah, she loves guns, I guess.
She really does. Like I said, she's a psycho.
Like you said in the last episode, she's got this bloodlust that keeps coming out.
I'm like, oh my god.
But what did you think of that last part of that sequence when the guy popped out? I guess the biggest thing to me is he was going to kill Joel. Joel would have died without Ellie if she didn't come out and shoot him. Now he didn't die from being shot by Ellie. So we got a guy who's kind of begging for his life. How did that go for you? Like, did you like that scene? Was it rough? I mean, they're basically humanizing villains. Do you like that? I mean, in the game, they didn't really do that as much. I mean, you're choking 20 people to death in a row. In this, it's a young kid who's been shot. He knows he's going to die. He's basically begging for his life. Do you like that in this show, or how'd that?
No,
how'd
I
that
do. I do like it because, like I said, everyone has a story and has their reason. But as you said, I kept telling myself, like, I was like, get him. He was going to kill Joel. Like, it sucks that you guys ran into that, but they attacked you 1st. You shot him. Yeah, probably should have just knocked him out at that point and not had to deal with it. But it's one of those things where you just kind of are like, but I kept telling myself too, like, he was going to kill Joel. You can't give into that. But he did such a good job of like being that. I'm like, I know I would be the asshole that would be sitting there like, all right, man, let's strike a deal. And it would always bite me in the ass. I'm too nice. So I couldn't handle that. But I kept having to tell myself like, no. He was going to kill Joel and leave you alone as this 14-year-old girl in the middle of in Kansas City. You know, like, no, this doesn't work. You have to take him. You have to. But it was very conflicting in my head. So it was done really well in a way that the show likes to do. And it's a complex feeling, and you know, all of these people, and even going back to like with Catherine. Keep forgetting her name. Kathleen. You know, it's like there's a story there, and it's a story they started telling with Kathleen, and she's looking for Henry. She's torturing people. She just murders that dude. She's trying to run these people and doing what she thinks is best for her people, which now includes hunting down Joel because she thinks Joel is sent from Henry to murder people, including her brother, who I think was that kid.
Yeah, that's what they kind of made it seem like. Yeah, I agree with you on all those things. I like when they kind of flip it on you and make someone who in your mind you're just like, yeah, Joel, kill him. But then if they give the character a second and show that they are a human being too, and they're just trying to get by in this world, and like now he knows he's about to die and he's basically pleading for his life, it kind of shows that everybody in this world has a story. Like, this could have been a different show following that kid and his journey, and it ends at the hands of Joel and Ellie killing him somewhere. You know what I mean? So I kind of like that when the bad guys, quote unquote bad guys, and the villains aren't just like nameless. You know, everyone has a story. That kid wanted to live. He didn't want to die. He was begging for his life. But you know, in this world, you can't leave any loose ends, whatever. And you know, Joel didn't shoot him. He stabbed him, which is another thing I like from the game, because you know what you're doing there? You're saving ammunition. And in the game, the scariest part of the game, say what you want, there's bloaters, there's everything, there's people chasing you and killing you. The scariest part of the game to me is not having enough ammunition, and there not being enough ammunition around, and you feeling like you're not prepared for things, and like, who can I shoot? Who can I not shoot? I don't want to waste. I wasted too many bullets. I don't have enough bullets. And that's kind of what they're doing in the show too. Like, Joel's not going to waste a bullet on this guy. You got to stab him. All that stuff just together is like, you know, been great. So I love that sequence. It was
and I think just villains should have a story. That's one of the things we always complain about with like the MCU is we have all these villains and they're just a punching bag. They have no depth. They don't have any like thing to them, so I don't care about them. So then when they're don't have any complexity to them or any story or backstory or feelings or emotions, they're just a CGI monster. It's like, I don't care about this. So then I don't care about the conflict. I care about this conflict. I care about what's going on with Kathleen. I want to know, I want to know what's happening, what that looks like. So super, super excited with how that's done. And then they were teasing that Ellie's been through some shit. Like, hey, that's not the first time I've done that. Like, I've done some things, which I'm assuming we'll get in flashback sequences.
Sure.
And I'm trying to, that seems fresh to me. I don't really remember much. I mean, I remember the basic Ellie backstory, but I don't remember a lot of details. So depending on how much they gave out, that's kind of really cool to see. Maybe her bloodlust comes from somewhere.
Yeah. I think in the games anyway, her backstory is more explored during Left Behind. which seems like it might be its own episode in this show.
Yeah.
Can't confirm or deny that, but it kind of seems like that's what they're gonna do.
I've seen clips from it, but
Right. You've seen clips
I
from
know
it.
I know it's gonna be somewhere, and they
Yeah.
teased it in the beginning where they talked about Riley and stuff in episode 1, I think.
Yeah.
So it's there, but not don't know when or how we're gonna get it. And it could be next week, because next week we're getting bloaters.
At least one bloater.
At least
you
one.
can kind of tell with that scene from Kathleen. And how do you feel about the other guy being played by Jeffrey Pierce, who was Tommy in the video game? Did you hear Tommy like when he was talking? Because I did. I know it's been a longer for you playing the game, but like I've just recently played it. And when he's talking, I was like, "That's Tommy. That's Tommy's voice."
I didn't know that. He looked familiar, but I didn't know that until I watched after the credits. And I was like, okay, that's cool, And I know pretty much all the main characters in the game are in this show,
which is cool.
Which is super cool. So it's awesome that they do that, and he gets to be a brand new character in this world. He gets to kind of be another chapter, another leg of the universe.
Yeah,
which is super cool. So when you look at the larger Last of Us universe, he gets to go down twice. So it's awesome.
Yeah,
and not the only one. We got a couple more coming.
Right, adding him, and we've been talking about Kathleen a little bit, which is I think she's played by Melanie Linsky, she looks very familiar to me. I know I've seen her in a bunch of things. But adding them is cool, I think, kind of to give a face, like you were saying, give a face to the Resistance. In the game, they're mindless, whatever. They drive that big tank around and it's scary and you got to run from it. But in this, there's actually like a leader and they're another faction. And, this show's all about groups and, staying together and somebody being a leader, even if they're a reluctant leader, like Kathleen seems like she might be a little bit, but it's cool to kind of add a face to that group and not just be mindless guys you got to kill and stab, whatever.
They're not just a set piece. They're gonna have a story as to they took over this town from the military, and they're trying to run it as best as they can, and they clearly know that something's about to happen because her and Tommy
Game Tommy
they found that like quicksand cement that was liquid, like shit's about to come out of the ground, and she's like, we'll deal with that later. I'm like, what do you mean later? It's like the ground is about to give birth to God only knows what, and you're like,
I'm convinced that that's where a bloater's under there. I think.
Imagine.
I
would imagine whatever's under there isn't good, and it ain't normal. So.
right.
Like, I don't know, you see the ground doing that, you like open the door, you can't just close the door and be like, well,
yeah,
good thing we closed the door. Like, no, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't, that doesn't work. It doesn't stop the problem. You can't just close the door and it goes away. That's going to be a big, huge
Ignore
problem.
Ignore it.
Ignore that. Like that, you have to be like, ugh. But she's like, whatever Henry did to her, she is focused on that revenge of that. So I'm interested to see where they go with that. Especially because now we got Henry and Sam popped up at the end of this episode in an oh shit fashion. And these characters seem like they're obviously going to get a lot more of a story. Because I know they were just kind of like left behinders, people that were just kind of scavenging in the game and kind of just doing their thing. And here, I didn't really put it together until the end when my wife asked me, do you know who that is? And I said, yeah, it's Henry. And she goes, that's Henry? And I was like, oh, they were talking about Henry the whole episode, weren't they? And I didn't even put it together until she pointed out that what I was talking about. So,
yeah, Henry and Sam seem to probably be getting a little more depth to their characters, kind of like the same way we dealt with Bill in episode 3, which will be nice.
If Henry is the one that Kathleen's looking for, and that's a whole thing, and she's hunting down Joel and Ellie because she thinks that he works with Henry, You don't want to be with Henry. Like, that is not where you want to be. That is the wrong dude you want around you.
It's true, but at the same time, Joel and Ellie don't know that this group is looking for Henry and Sam. Yeah, we're gonna have to kind of see how it plays out. Hell, we don't know. Henry could shoot Joel in the head as soon as the episode starts, and then it's just the Ellie show. So
that'd be something.
That would be weird. But
but
yeah, dude, I like that now video game fans being rewarded again for, seeing characters that we know that have a chapter in the game about to be featured in the next episode. I like that cliffhanger. I liked that right before that when Joel and Ellie were going to sleep, she finally got him to crack a smile with one of her jokes. He hasn't smiled this entire show.
Diarrhea joke.
Yeah, the diarrhea joke. Classic poo poo pee pee humor.
It gets you all the time. Even if you don't like it, if it's done right, it can still get you.
Even if you're 56, like he said he is in this show, which is like Pedro Pascal, 56. I don't know. Just put a little gray hair on him. But yeah, I don't know. Nice way to end the show to me. Nice little cliffhanger. You gotta get you excited, get you hyped for Friday. So I don't know, man.
I'm hyped because, like I said, this episode was a lot of setup for this next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of lead in, not a lot. I mean, yeah, you had a little bit of action, but it was a lot of story development, a lot of character development coming out of last week's episode with Bill and Frank, and really setting up. And then we're looking at the next on, it seems like, okay, here we go. This is when shit's really going to hit the fan. So I'm digging it. We got a few more to go where the ratings are going up. We've already gotten season 2 announced. Let's go. I'm ready.
Like 4 episodes
Sunday.
4 episodes in, there hasn't been a bad moment. Not really.
Is this gonna be the best show this year?
It already is. I mean, and our brains, the way I know how we think, and we played the games, we can only just imagine what's going to happen in these last 5. And I'm listening to the podcast that they put out every Sunday right after the episode ends, like the official one. Troy Baker hosts it, and it's got Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann on it. Mm-hmm. And Craig Mazin said something that excited me to the core of my soul, being like, there's fans of this game who are watching this and they think they know everything we're going to do. And he was like, I guarantee you have no idea what's coming. Like, people who he said you could have played this game 100 times and think you know this story front to back, and you think you know everything that's going to happen. He's like, I guarantee you do not. We're going to do things that even you people who, sing the praises of this game aren't going to see. And that really excited me, and I can't wait for that. But even the stuff they're giving me that I do know is coming, I've been enjoying every second. Like, even a story where I kind of know how some things are playing out still kind of has me on the edge of their seat. And that's just the, salute to the way they're doing this. The way they're making it still makes it exciting, even if you know the source material. And I don't think you can really beat that as far as an adaptation goes.
Good story.
So they're killing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this year we know right after this we got Succession, season 4, and that's always going to be gold. And somewhere in here we're going to get Severance season 2. It'll be a good year. It's going to be a good year. Starting off
with a bang.
Yeah, with a bang. But we're going to be here talking about it to the end. This is our jam. We're glad that you guys are along for the journey. Thank you for everybody who's checking out the YouTube channel, Raise the Geek over on YouTube. It's really kind of starting to do something over there. So thank you all for checking that out. Make sure you also like, subscribe, and follow this podcast, Raise the Geek, over on all podcasts and social media services. You can join the conversation over on Twitter and Instagram at Raise the Geek, or you can shoot us an email, raisethegeek@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
That's what I was waiting for. So we'll be back next week with episode 5 of The Last of Us. So I think for episode 4, you got any last thoughts? Anything else you need to say?
No, man, I think we said it all. Great show, and can't wait for next week.
It's going to be crazy. So that's going to do it for us this week. For Raise the Geek, I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
And thanks for checking out the show.
Where geek is all we speak.